So you should have already completed Montgomery May on page 152 to 153, and also the open-ended question on page 154. We are going to go over these answers, starting with the closed reader habits at the bottom of the page, where it says, when you reread the story, underline key details about the characters, setting, problem, events, and conclusion. So we're looking for key details about those things. So we go back to the top. I'm not going to read all of this to you. I'm just going to show you what key details should be underlined. So in the first two paragraphs, Montgomery May traveled the world in a battered old ship. That is one of our characters and an event. This looks a little blurry. That's a little better. I leaped from the island of Rhodes to the mainland of Turkey. That's another event. The town square this describes the setting. All right. The next two paragraphs, Cecile Saunders, Montgomery's old rival. So that is another character, and it explains who the other character is. I shall leap from Partridge Point, and here he pointed to a rocky outcrop where his ship was anchored, to Isla Island. So this is another event. In the second paragraph, it says he leapt from an island of Rhodes to the mainland of Turkey, and now he's saying he's going to leap from Partridge Point to the Isles of Islands. All right, some more things that should be underlined. Let's do 5 and 6. So there wasn't anything in 5, but 6, tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. sharp. That's a setting, because settings aren't just a place, but they're also a time. And then in paragraphs 7 and 8, competing to feed the house such an honored guest. So that is an event that happened. And then last, sneaking out to his boat at 6 a.m. and sailing into the sunrise. That is another event that happened. He snuck off. All right, now on the next page, we're going to use the things that we underlined to fill in different parts of the story, starting with the characters and the setting. So the characters were Montgomery May and Cecile Saunders. The setting was in a town square. So let's see what they have for characters and setting. So Montgomery May, Cecile Saunders, a town square. Now they gave a little bit more detail because they said that it was Montgomery May was a world traveler, Cecile Saunders was his rival, and a town square in a seaport village. You can be that detailed, or you could have just put Montgomery May, Cecile Saunders, and a town square. Your choice. Moving on to the main problem. So the main problem is he's saying that he can jump from island to island or from place to place, and people aren't believing him, and he's like, so prove it, show me. So Cecile challenges Montgomery to demonstrate his jumping ability. That's the problem. He's been challenged to demonstrate his abilities to jump. That is not what I meant to do. This just looks really blurry. There we go. That's so much better. Whew. All right, so Cecile challenges Montgomery to demonstrate his jumping ability. Now we're going to go on to the events. So the events are Montgomery's Montgomery's bragging about his jumping ability. Cecile is like, oh yeah, let me see you jump at 7 a.m. So let's see what they have for the events. Montgomery brags about his jumping ability. Cecile challenges him to jump. And then Montgomery says he will jump to an island at 7 a.m. I forgot that event. He challenges him to jump, and he says, okay, I'll do it, 7 a.m. tomorrow. But is that how the story ends? No, it is not. Because then Montgomery decides to be a sneaky little Dickens and leaves at 6 a.m. Then he never has to jump. Montgomery sails away at 6 a.m., avoiding the need to prove his boast. So he sneaks out and doesn't have to prove himself. We're going to take these key details and we're going to put them in a summary on page 154. So on page 154, I'm going to read the summary that they have here, but I'm also going to write a summary using the somebody wanted but so then that we put in our notes on Monday, I believe it was. So the summary that they have is Montgomery May returns to his village from years at sea. He brags that he jumped from Rhodes to Turkey. His rival Cecile asks him to prove he can jump that far. Montgomery says he will jump to an island the next day at 7 a.m. Montgomery then sails off to 6 a.m., avoiding having to actually make the jump. So they took the details that were in our graphic organizer on the previous page and they wrote them in complete sentences. Now, I'm going to do something very similar. If you like that answer and you need to look at it longer, you can pause the video. I'm going to do something very similar, and I'm going to use somebody wanted but so then to write a summary. So, summary. All right, somebody is Montgomery. Montgomery wanted to be known for his jumping ability. But Cecile, how do you spell his name? Secil. Cecile thought he was lying. So, Montgomery agreed to jump for Cecile at 7 a.m. the next day. Then Montgomery left at 6 a.m. and never had to jump. So, you've seen one answer where it did not use the somebody wanted but so then strategy, and this strategy does use those keywords. I'm not worried about if you use those keywords or not, but did you include the important parts in your summary? You need to talk about Montgomery and his jumping ability, Cecile and the challenge, and Montgomery agreeing to that challenge, and then, of course, Montgomery leaving and not really ever having to prove himself.